Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast. My name is Brandon Drum. I'm here with Parker Thune, and we've got a lot to talk with you guys. Oklahoma's held two scrimmages. There's that. But I think we're bearing the lead, not talking about the fact that it is five-star offensive tackle, Louisville offensive tackle, Michael Fasusi's decision week. He will be making an announcement on Wednesday afternoon. We are working on making our arrangements to be there. But we're going to just about it. We're going to start that out first. But before we get to that, unfortunately, we've got to pay some bills real quick.
Not unfortunately.
Well,
not unfortunately.
Not unfortunately.
It enables us to do what we do.
Correct.
So shout out to all of our sponsors who contribute to everything that we're doing over at OU Insider and that have partnered with us over the years and that partner with us currently. One of those is our sponsor for this week's podcast, HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. It's America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh meals can easily be customized to fit your family's tastes. With protein and veggie swap options, you and the kids can choose just the right combos for each week's deliveries. And back to school season means shopping, after school activities, a lot less free time. Skip the meal planning and the grocery store runs with nutritious and delicious meals from HelloFresh. They handle most of the prep too, making getting dinner on the table easier and faster than ever. HelloFresh is a go-to for Brandon and I during football season, especially because everything that we're doing is so rapid fire. It's one commitment after another. So anytime we can shave time off meal prep, it is a welcome change, and HelloFresh allows that in your schedule. Again, they handle most of the prep. They give you pre-portioned ingredients. They give you the recipe. All you got to do is follow it to a T, and within minutes, you got a hot, home-cooked, fresh meal. For a limited time, kids eat free. Go to HelloFresh.com/OU Insider Kids to unlock this exclusive offer. One free kids meal per box for 2 months while subscription is active. That's free kids meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/OU Insider Kids. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Also, a quick reminder, folks, if you have not yet downloaded the Autograph app and checked out the Oklahoma community and started earning rewards just for interacting with Sooners content, you can click link.ag.fan/boomer and use promo code boomer. Link.ag.fan/boomer and use promo code boomer to get started. We will see you over there. Without further ado, let's talk Michael Fasusi.
Let's talk. I put a pick in on Wednesday. I did it during the live. Everybody kind of knows my things. I had a confidence at 6 or 7. It's slowly kind of creeping up.
Yeah.
As the week has gone on, it's getting better and better. But Parker, you put one in.
I did, and apparently with
hours
this recruitment, it's the whole Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last thing. Because I'm seeing the Twitter discourse, and everybody's like, Parker waited for all those Texas insiders to make their picks before he threw in his. Like, okay, well, props to Brandon. Tip of the cap to you, sir, for being first.
They waited till I did. Sup with you.
Exactly. But no, I think obviously it is a refreshing sight for OU fans to log into social media or to peruse the message boards and see pretty much the same message coming from the Texas side right about now, which is Fasusi's not expected to pick the Longhorns on Wednesday. Now, Texas A&M remains lurking in the shadows, so by no means is Oklahoma 100% out of the woods, and you never are in a 5-star recruitment, Brandon. Like, I have not covered a 5-star recruitment in the last 3 cycles at least, maybe longer. But I can't. There have obviously been several 5-stars that we have covered over the last 3 cycles, and none of those recruitments have come without a ton of 11th hour chicanery. We all remember Peyton Bowen. We all remember DJ Hicks. We all remember Williams Winery. Heck, we all remember David Stone, who was going down to the wire between OU and Miami and acknowledged as much himself. So look, I think it's Oklahoma on Wednesday at this point. My confidence is growing. You think it's Oklahoma. You were the first through the wall with the future cast prediction, but you can't be 100% sure. And I'll remind everybody before you bring up, oh, well, Jackson Arnold, PJ Adibawa, Red, those were easy ones. Those guys weren't 5 stars when they committed to
No, they were
Oklahoma.
four
They
stars.
became 5 stars later in the cycle. So every time you're actively recruiting a dude who is already a 5 star, it seems like, at least from the Oklahoma perspective, the last few cycles, every single time, without exception, Brandon, it has gone down to the wire and it has gotten hairy. Now, you would hope that you've kind of moved past the zenith of all of that with Michael Fasusi, that you're just now on a clean downhill slope coasting towards his commitment. And it does kind of feel like that's the case for Oklahoma. You can't ever rule out some twists and turns at the very, very end. But right now, it really does seem like the Sooners are in a better position than ever to secure the kid's commitment.
It does. There's a lot of confidence on the Oklahoma side, and weirdly enough, like the last 2 weeks, the Texas side, it's almost felt like it. I don't want to say waving the white flag because I think that would paint a picture of they gave up because they did, and they haven't. It's just I think they feel. Look, they have Trevor Gooseby, who's fast becoming a really good player for them.
Yeah.
Um,
You should have offered that kid.
yeah, 100%.
Now he would have gone to Texas anyway because he grew up
Probably.
a diehard Texas fan. But
Yeah,
he
he's a
there
good
was a
player.
time he wanted to come to the University of Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean he's obviously really tight with Nigel and all that, but
Mm-hmm.
I look, they got Trevor Gooseby. There's this belief, right, that it's playing time and that Oklahoma offers this more playing like almost instant starter at left tackle, and that's kind of where you hear from the Texas side of things, and I'm like, so Jake Sexton's a senior. Am I forgetting that he plays at the University of Oklahoma? I get he's playing left guard right now. I get it. But that dude is a tackle all the way in the NFL and every other day. It's just that he is so good at playing multiple positions that he can move to left guard and still make you better on the offensive line because you got obviously Michael Tarquin that can play left guard or left tackle for you. Um, it's but to me it's not I don't want to say they're painting excuses because I think that would also be you, you're kind of painting a bad picture or painting a lie in that sense. I just think there's beliefs, I think is the best way to put it for the Texas side and why things are turning against them. The reality is that mom and dad and family went on that Oklahoma official visit. Prior to that Oklahoma official visit, they liked Oklahoma a lot. They didn't favor Oklahoma. It
No,
was a Texas, Oklahoma kind of back and forth, back and forth. Now, don't get me wrong. Michael favored Oklahoma in his head. It was always Bill Bedenbaugh, always Bill Bedenbaugh. And as far as like who he connected with the best out of all the coaches, he says that. He said that publicly.
yeah,
He's open about that, wide open about that. But that doesn't always mean you're going to pick that school because there's other things that get involved into a decision: NIL, system, playing time, your relationship with other players, all that. There's a plethora of things that obviously go into that, right? Everything just seems to be lining up for Oklahoma in this because you got Jaden Hardy, you got Sean Hatton, right? Like there's things that are falling into place for Oklahoma off the field, on the field, and then you've got mom and dad that are like, you know what? We really like what's going on up there. And then the NIL aspect is Oklahoma doesn't have the biggest offer.
no, they
They
don't.
don't. Not even close. So anybody that wants to say Oklahoma's outbidding all that, they are. He's getting offered a lot.
Yeah, No, it's a
Oklahoma,
substantial amount of money.
yeah, and Oklahoma's offers a substantial amount. I don't want to say that they're not offering a lot of money, because they are. They're offering, bro, it's a lot of money. But there's other teams that have offered more. It's just it's just not enough at this juncture as we sit here on August 17th. It's not enough that people feel like he's not going to choose Oklahoma. Now,
Yeah.
things can change. There's
Now,
still Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, right? 5 days. Things can change, Parker.
things can change and things may change. Things don't look like they'll change right now, but you
No,
always, again, anytime you're dealing with a 5-star, you can never speak in
cautious
definitives
optimism.
until, yeah. But I, if Fasusi is a Sooner on Wednesday, Brandon, I think to me, the biggest aspect of all this, besides the obvious fact that this would be the most seismic high school commitment that Bill Bedenbaugh has ever picked up at the University of Oklahoma or anywhere else for that matter, but
Yep.
it instantly dispels the narrative. Well, a couple narratives, right? That Bill Bedenbaugh doesn't really have a muscle to flex as a recruiter with big time prospects, or that Bill Beeden, or I'm sorry, not Bill Beeden, but that Oklahoma has to be able to pay an over the top amount to be able to bring in an elite left tackle. Because as you mentioned, Brandon, I think it's pretty well understood right now, especially to folks that have been following along at OUinsider.com with the ins and outs of this recruitment. No, Oklahoma hasn't made the biggest offer. And if you're in Michael Fasusi's shoes and there's a level of comfort with all three schools, as there is for him, you're not taking a discount to go play at Oklahoma unless you firmly,
Mm-hmm.
vehemently believe that in the long run, Bill Bedenbaugh is going to position you to make way more money on NFL draft day than the respective offensive line coaches and the respective coaching staffs at those other two schools. That is the only reason you take a discount to go play
Yeah.
for the University of Oklahoma, is because you believe that Bill Bedenbaugh is going to get the absolute most out of you developmentally. That's proof of concept right there.
Very much so. I guess to kind of put some clarity to this for people, what Parker's talking about here is, okay, let's say, for kicks and giggles, because this is not the amount, I'm just going to make up an amount. Let's say $550,000. Okay. Let's just say that. Okay. Um, or just say 500,000. Let's say Oklahoma says they're going to pay 500,000. Let's say A&M's 800 and Texas is 750. Well, he's a 3-year guy, let's say. All right. Or even 700 to make the math easier on everybody.
Yeah.
That'd be 2.1 million for Texas. That'd be 2.4 million for Texas A&M in the long run, and that would be 1.5 million for Oklahoma. You better believe that you're going to get drafted day 1, day 2 as a tackle, or you're not going to take less money, because that's $900,000 you're leaving on the table from A&M. That's 600,000 Texas you're leaving on the table just to choose Oklahoma. The thing is you feel like you're going to be able to make that up in a year or two in the NFL, and then far supersede that later on, because Bill Bedenbaugh's developed you into that. On top of that, Oklahoma also has a history of, if you're that dude and you're really good, you sign for whatever amount, they will double it to have you stay, right? And play at the University of Oklahoma longer. But how they go about is how an NFL or a professional team would do it. They would say, we're going to give you this much now, but if you go out and you're a starter and you make all conference as like a sophomore, what you make will double it per year to make you stay and make you feel at home. And that's how Oklahoma's operated. So they've probably verbalized that to the Fasusis, like, look, it's this much now. And of course, I made up all those figures, by the way, but it's this much now. But how about whenever this happens, you're going to be making this much? And but that's how all smart teams, Ohio State does that, Alabama does that, Georgia does that. Like the big, really good programs, Parker, that's how they operate. They pay the guys that have produced on the field way more than the guys that have not, no matter how good they were coming out of high school.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, let's operate under the assumption that Fasusi does choose Oklahoma on Saturday. That's 3 straight classes, Brandon. 3 straight classes where Oklahoma has landed a top 100 player in the nation on the offensive line. Caden Green in the 2023 cycle, Eddie Pierre-Louis in the 2024 cycle, and then Fasusi in the 2025 cycle. And gosh, man, Ryan Foje is a top 100 player according to several services as well. That's not unanimous across the
Beanbo can't
board, but
recruit
like
though, right?
there are so many narratives that are going to be dead and buried if Fasusi picks Oklahoma on
Jake Taylor
Wednesday.
was top. Was he not top 100? I feel like he was
I
top
don't
100
believe
too.
so. He was close. Both he and
He was
Sexton
close. Yeah.
were close, but not quite there.
Yeah. But they were really good. And
Yeah.
Jake Sexton has proven to be freaking good. It's almost like Bill Beanbo knows what he's doing. Even if he misses out, you still have Ryan Foje. Like, people need to understand, like, hello, you got Eddie Pierre-Louis
Uh-huh.
last year. He was the 34th ranked player in the country. 2 spots from being a 5-star.
Yeah.
What
Well,
what what are we
again,
where are these
and
narratives coming from?
at this point, you can't explain it away, regardless of what the
What about
decision is.
Brooks?
Yeah. Well, but like, regardless of what the decision is on Wednesday, Brandon, you can't explain it away because again, the only reason a guy like Fasusi would pick Oklahoma on Wednesday at a discount is because that he believes Beatonbow is going to develop him better than anybody else for the National Football League. And if
Because
he
he's proven to
doesn't,
do that.
and if he doesn't pick Oklahoma, we all know what changed, right?
Yeah.
We all know what would have had to have changed between now and Wednesday. We all
But
know what would have tipped the proverbial and perhaps literal scale.
if you don't think that if somebody comes in, they offer a bunch more money to him, if you believe that Oklahoma's not going to try to keep offering more to get him, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, it's not, it's just that so much, like, because you're not going to break the bank for one cat when you've got to still be able to pay people in the 26 class and the 27 class and the 28 class. They've got to build a program, not a player. A program, not a player. And that's something that fans need to understand if you really want to help Oklahoma pay more. There are links and everything that you can go to, and there's easy access to your Apple Cash and whatever you want to do to throw it out there to them if you want to. But hey, it is what it is. That if they land Fasusi on Wednesday, Parker, is this the best offensive line class that Beanbo's ever landed total? Because that 2020 class was stupid though. So that's really
That
hard to, and
2020 class was good. Yeah. I mean, heck,
2017 was, have you
that
looked at
24
2017 before?
class, this most recent class, Brandon, like
Oh yeah,
I
that
don't even want to
23
look
class was
past that group.
phenomenal.
I think that
Yeah.
group's going to end up being really, really impressive. So, on paper, there's a very good chance that come December, we are regarding it as such. Now we got to see how these guys develop because 2020 would look a heck of a lot better right now if Aaron Parks had turned out to be anything at OU. Right.
Well, let me. I'm gonna throw this class out to you. You need to pick out what it is. All right. I don't flirt out before I get done naming these names. Okay. Tyrese Robinson, Creed Humphrey. I'm gonna keep going down here. Marquise Hayes, Adrian Ely. That was one class, by the way. Let me see. Is that the last? That's the last. All those dudes got drafted, bro. You know what class that is?
2017.
That might be the best class he's ever had, honestly.
Yeah. In retrospect, certainly.
That was a good class. But that 2020 class with Rame, Parks, Harrison, who else was in that class? Oh, it was good. Um,
Nate Anderson.
Nate Anderson. That class, just on paper, was stupid. There was a bunch
And
of
Noah
top 100
Nelson as
kids.
well. Noah Nelson was in that class too.
Noah Nelson. That was a bunch of top 100 and top 250 kids, much like 2017. So I think at 2017, 2020, 22 had two really good players in Taylor and Sexton. Um, 23 was phenomenal. 24 was phenomenal. Again, that's why when people say he can't recruit, I want people to go back and actually look at those classes. Go back and actually look at those classes. It's because it's because he hasn't landed. I think it's because he has such glaring misses in the fans' eyes, right? It has to be right on the high school ranks. But why did they overlook? Why do they overlook what those classes are as far as how the talent that was brought in, and why overlook how good he's been in the transfer portal when that obviously matters now in a massive way.
Yeah, well, look, a lot of those arguments that try to downplay Bow's level of acumen as far as talent acquisition and the development of said talent. A lot of those are very low IQ arguments. But again, you land Fasusi on Wednesday, even arguments like those where you can't even really engage with the people that are propagating them because it's like talking to a brick wall. Even those arguments are going to fall apart if Fasusi picks
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma.
So I'm trying to look at 2018 here. It,
Oh, that was gosh, Michael Thompson was in that class. I'm pretty sure Tremonde Moore,
yeah, that was bust central, honestly.
Bray
It
Walker,
was
Bray
like I
Walker was
just
in that
looked at it.
class.
Yeah, it was awful. And it wasn't, but on paper, it looked like just a freaking, like, it was
I know,
like
didn't it?
Beanbo knows
And
what the
that
hell he's
right
doing.
there, and again, it's something we've talked about time and again. That is the nature of evaluating and recruiting offensive linemen out of high school. Yes, you have an
Yep.
idea, certainly, of who's going to hit and who's not, but you get some really, really highly regarded players out of the high school ranks that never amount to anything in college.
Yep.
And then you end up with a bunch of 3-star dudes, bunch of 3-star gems, whether at Oklahoma or elsewhere, that aren't as coveted coming out of high school, but that end up being fantastic football players.
Yeah, I think 20, man, I think 2019 was pretty, pretty good as far as on paper as well. Like this is actually a fun dive here, Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Really fun dive. It's
Pretty
just
much nobody from that 2019 class panned out at OU in a big way. Woody Washington is still around, but if you go through the 2019 group, it's just a wasteland, man. A lot of guys that ended up transferring or just never worked out for one reason or another at OU. I'm
mhm.
trying to think of who was in that class on the offensive line. Finley Felix, there's
Are you
one.
talking? Are you talking about
Um,
2019?
yes,
Oh yeah, it was Stacy Wilkins,
Stacy
EJ Ndoma
Wilkins. Yep.
Ogar,
EJ
uh,
Nadoma Ogar's still around. He's a 6th-year senior at Arkansas State this year.
Marcus Alexander, Finley Felix,
Oh man,
Bryce Roberts. Um,
yeah, that
yeah,
was
it
a rough
was.
one.
On
That
paper, again, it looked phenomenal. And then obviously 2020 through 24 have been really solid as far as I guess you can't say 24 as far as hits yet or 23, but what we know of Brooks, what we know of EPL so far early on, what we know of Josh Bates, what we know of who else would be viewed as somebody to watch. Logan Hallen's probably going to get some run this year. He's going to have some hits out of those classes. That's the good thing. That's a good thing. Everybody thought Bray Walker was going to be in his freshman and sophomore year. He looked like he was on just like this massive trajectory to be really good, and then all of the sudden, and just stopped and never recovered. It was a really weird career for him.
I believe his only starts at Oklahoma came as a redshirt freshman. So
But
yes,
he
the early
always came in and
trajectory
played
was.
well when he played there for his freshman and sophomore year. Like he was good. And then just I don't even know how to explain it. It's one of those weird deals because I remember whenever he committed, it was a big deal because everybody knew he was going to be a 5-star. Like there was no doubt he was a five
Yeah.
star. So it was, but it again, Beatonbow has done really well. You want to know else who's done really well?
Who else has done really well?
Oklahoma's defense this fall
Oh,
camp.
pivot, segue,
Segue, bro.
segue to the practice field.
Almost like we're professionals at this.
Yeah. Well, now is a good time to remind everybody that if you want all of the practice intel, all of the scrimmage intel, the whole 9 yards, a bunch of stuff that we won't and can't say on this podcast, but are more than willing to disclose behind the comforts of the paywall. We just finished up a special at ouinsider.com, 75% off. That concluded on Friday, but we got another one coming, Brandon.
Yeah, we talked rivals into this one. Because of you guys. Honestly, it was you guys. You guys rock. They liked how many fans signed up, and it was a lot. That we're gonna throw 60% off for people. They wouldn't do 75%. Tried, we tried, we tried, but they said we'll still do 60% off Monday through Friday. So starting on that would be August 19th, all the way to whatever Friday is. What is Friday the 24th, right? Or 2020?
That would be the
What is
23rd, Friday the
23rd?
23rd.
Yeah, 23rd. So 19th through the 23rd, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 60% off. So if you do the math, I think it's something like $40 or something like that. It's really cheap. It was $24 with 75% off. It's only 16 extra bucks, but you get a whole year. You will get a whole year of OU Insider. You will get to see us, get to talk to us, get to see all the updates. We had some of and if you don't believe us, I'm sure Spencer, whoever is editing this, can show you. There is a photo, multiple, I mind you, of our members talking about how good the notes are as far as team stuff goes. Like they were floored with our team notes, calling it they've been following OU football for 20 years and they've been on all the message boards. And this is by far the most in-depth and best notes that they've ever seen.
That was
And we
Sooner
not
Butch that said that. Thanks for the
Sooner
kind
Butch.
words, Sooner
Yes,
Butch.
thank you for the kind words. But we had multiple people say it, and not only did they say it once, but they said it twice because we dropped some nuggets on people on our board. And I mean, it was a long batch of notes, both sets, scrimmage notes. You got the Wednesday scrimmage, you got the Friday scrimmage, everything that went on. We told you. We told you how it went. We told you who stood out. We told you why they stood out. We told you who struggled. We told you why they struggled. We had source quotes. We had all sorts of stuff from everything. And you can go get that on OU Insider VIP. You got Parker's recruiting notes. He's got 26 class that's already been predicted. I guarantee he's probably going to hit on 85% of those. So we got that. I'll be dropping my prediction for class here this coming week in 2026. We will also have tons of notes as Oklahoma's fall camp ends. We'll have tons and tons of notes for team stuff. We'll have all sorts of stuff after we go and talk to the team again. We'll get more access this week. It's Brody is dropping basketball nuggets like crazy. It's right now is the best time to do it. So for I think around $40, you'll get a whole year. We don't know the promo code yet, but all you have to do is go to our YouTube, go to our Twitter or X, go to our Facebook, or
As soon
just
as
go to,
we know the promo code, you'll know the promo
yeah,
code
you'll know the
if you
promo
follow
code.
us on social.
Or you can just email us if you're a college student, you have a .edu, email us at ouinsider@rivals.com, and we will send you a promo code where you will be able to get us at $11.95 and in just one time, $11.95, get us for the whole year. But that's only if you're a college student. Doesn't matter what college you go to. We have Virginia Tech. We had a Georgia guy email me today. Like it was awesome. Everybody, there's so many OU fans. UCLA's emailed us. It's been awesome. $11.95. I will send you a promo code. All you have to do is email us ouinsider@rivals.com. $11.95. You can have us for a whole year at OU Insider VIP. All right, Parker. Scrimmage practice fall camps ending on Monday. They're off tomorrow. We're recording this on a Saturday. Today they had a light workout. They had all the ex players that came in. They had a cookout. It was all fun and games for everybody. Good time, all that stuff. They also went and watched Deadpool this past week. By the way, I was told Deadpool and Wolverine. They said the team went and did it. They obviously went to Whitewater as well over the last 10 days. So they've been having some fun too with fall camp because it's such a grind, right? You got their kids. You got to give them some time off as well. Let their brain, kind of recharge a little bit. But the defense is good. It's very, very good. Parker, I talked to somebody on, it was right after the scrimmage Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And this person, the last 2 years, was not complimentary of the defense throughout fall camp, was very, very skittish of what the defense might be. But I'm going to quote them for you OU fans. If they were playing in the Big 12, there is a belief right now that they could compete to the point that they might be good enough to go play for a national title defensively.
Okay. Well,
That's how confident they are.
Let me ask this question.
Now they're in the SEC, so
well, yeah, like how is that any different in the SEC?
Well,
then?
it
Like
is different. Okay, well, because I think they probably feel like the offense too would be able to dominate in the Big 12, whereas against the SEC defenses and all the talent in the SEC.
So what you're saying is whether or not Oklahoma can compete for a national championship in 2024 is on the shoulders of Jackson Arnold in this offense.
That is correct. He had a good scrimmage the other day, by the way. Good is he had a much better scrimmage. It wasn't bad, and he actually was very consistent from what I was told, which is not what we heard scrimmage 1 or scrimmage 2, Parker.
No,
Not at all.
Obviously, like scrimmage 1, the word coming out of that one was okay. Like there's some work to be done here.
Yep.
Like there's some things you got to sharpen up before the season. And as we've discussed, defense is always going to be ahead of the offense at the outset in the early
Correct.
stages of fall camp. That's how it should be. That's how it needs to be. And that's how it was for Oklahoma. Now, obviously, these last couple scrimmages, you've started to see some more healthy back and forth, which is exactly how you draw it up, right, Brandon? It's exactly what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Early on, you want your defense to be the dominant unit if there is one. And then ideally by the end of fall camp, you want to be getting to the point where you've got about a 50-50 split. Offense wins at times, defense wins at times, and you're not looking at your either unit for that matter. You're not looking at either one of your units and easily being able to identify a conspicuous weakness. And I think that's the case for Oklahoma right now. And that's encouraging because shoot, Brandon, if there's no weakness, then it's going to come down to execution. It's going to come down to can you avoid beating yourselves? And heck, that was the case for Oklahoma in the Big 12 last year. Now, I'm not suggesting that Oklahoma, the only thing that prevented them from competing for a national championship was beating themselves, because I don't know if they were quite on that level last year. They were a good football team. I don't know if they were a great one, but certainly the only thing that kept them from a 12-0 record in the regular season was the fact that in that Kansas game and in that Oklahoma State game, they beat themselves. If this defense is as advertised, and you trust, as you should, that offense is never going to be a problem at the University of Oklahoma, Brandon, once again, I think the big question for Oklahoma in 2024, again, if these units live up to the expectations that are being cultivated throughout fall camp, the only question is going to be, can you stay out of your own way?
Yeah. I what? Hmm. I don't even know if I want to ask this question. I'm gonna do it because it was posed to me the other day.
Okay.
It was posed to me Friday after the scrimmage by somebody, not on staff or anything like that, but like it was a really good question and it's a really good thought. And it has
Let's
nothing
hear
to
it.
do with like Jackson Arnold is bad or anything because I think everybody agrees that Jackson Arnold is going to be a phenomenal player and going to play in the NFL at some point.
I
Like I
heard
think
he
we all,
sucks.
yeah, well, I think we all agree that he's going to be special, and probably by the end of the year. But we're talking about going into the season. I think, I think his ceiling will far surpass Dylan Gabriel. That
Oh, no
said,
question. Yeah.
if Dylan Gabriel was still Oklahoma's starting quarterback going into this season, are they viewed as a potential national title team?
A potential national title team? No. Are they getting more
Really?
respect? Are they getting more respect in the SEC than they are right now?
I think they're picked
Absolutely.
better than Texas.
And that's
I
well, and that's not because Jackson Arnold is that much worse than Dylan Gabriel. It's just because you know what you're getting with Dylan
Yeah,
Gabriel. There's still an element of the unknown with Jackson Arnold, and that's fair. Like again, that's why I don't try to fight the national perception of Oklahoma as they transition to the SEC. That's why I don't find bones to pick with the Vegas over under win total or anybody that wants to project Oklahoma to be a mediocre football team in 2024. Like I get it. You know, if you're looking at this from a national perspective, I understand why you would have modest expectations for Oklahoma. But again, Brandon, the more you talk, the more we talk to people that are in the war room every day, the people that are in the Switzer Center, the people that are standing on the practice field, uh, going through the motions with this football team, seeing it up close and personal. I think the more you and I are inclined to believe, and rightfully so, that this team is going to do a whole lot better than Vegas expects them to do in
by far, yes.
2024.
Yeah, I still and I want to again clarify that I don't think Dylan is better than Jackson. I don't. I think Jackson Arnold is going to be far better than Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel, though, is I'll put it to you like this, and this will help everybody understand where I'm coming from here. This person saw him every day for the last 2 years and knows Dylan very well. And flat said he might be the goofiest, smartest football player he's ever been around. He knew when they walked up to the line, talking about the Oklahoma offense, he knew what the defense was doing before the defense knew what they were doing. Like he knows what's going on the other end. Like he's so smart. And that's why he was so good at Oklahoma. That's why he was able to make those comebacks. That's why he was able to, I mean, hell, against Kansas, did he not drive down the field and put Oklahoma up before they? I mean, he always against Oklahoma State, did he not do it? He always did it. And it was because he knows what the defense is doing before they know what they're doing prior to the snap. Like he knows what they're doing.
I was watching. I happened to be sitting in a restaurant with my wife earlier today, and ESPNU was on, and it was a replay of the Oklahoma State game. So I was rewatching the
Man,
second half of that game. And I was just like, how on earth did they lose this?
they drop
Boy,
passes. They drop
boy,
passes.
that was rough.
How many
But
touchdown passes were dropped in that game?
oh, I couldn't tell you. I
3?
the biggest one I remember was Brennan Thompson dropped what would have been a conversion on 4th and 5 in Oklahoma State territory that
Wow.
cost him points.
Awesome. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, okay. Point made. That's what made him so good. That's why everybody and don't get me wrong again, they're so happy they have Jackson because they think that, and I'm gonna quote another source. I'm excited to see what this offense does when they don't have to play the Oklahoma defense every day, because that Oklahoma defense makes it very hard to know what they have on offense.
Yeah. And the
They
whole,
think they're good on
yeah,
offense,
you know,
but how can you
the
know when
whole,
you're going up against the top 15 defense?
and
You know,
the Dylan Jackson debate, and I don't know how much of a debate it actually is, but
it's not
I
a
think it's,
debate. It's
I think
uh,
it's very circumstantial. Like you put Dylan Gabriel in the right offense, you put him in the right system, you surround him with the right weapons, he's going to be a machine. Like
yeah,
I think he's
he's
going to be a
26
Heisman
years old.
contender at Oregon. I think he's going to be a Heisman contender this year.
Yes.
Now, Jackson Arnold, you throw him in the right system, you throw him into a system that's a little bit more tailored to his skills and what he does well than it is to Dylan Gabriel. Yeah, Jackson Arnold's going to be a machine. Now, I don't obviously I guess we'll never know what Dylan Gabriel would have looked like in a Seth Luttrell offense, but I do think as pseudo blind of a belief and a claim as this may be, I do think Jackson Arnold is better suited to fulfill the requirements and the demands of the quarterback position in Seth Luttrell's offense than
Mhm.
Dylan Gabriel would have been. And I think that's part of the reason why Oklahoma decided to move forward in 2024 with Jackson Arnold as their starting quarterback. And
Yeah.
we're willing to let Dylan Gabriel walk. So, yeah, look, once Oklahoma is going up against defenses that are not their own, I think things are going to open up significantly
Mhm.
because there are so many
Mhm.
weapons. And to me, like I don't even know that the offensive line needs to be elite, Brandon. I think many operate under the assumption that Oklahoma needs to have an outstanding offensive line
Thank you for
in order
going there,
to
by the way.
succeed offensively. And I do think the offensive line is going to be quite good in 2024. I do have that belief. I know nothing else when Bill Bedenbaugh is the coach at Oklahoma. But by the same token, I think if you really got in a situation where you had to throw out a bunch of freshmen on that offensive line, you had inexperience, and you weren't winning the battles in the trenches, I think you have enough weapons. I think you have the right kind of weapons that you could pretty effectively operate a quick game type of offense in which you didn't need to protect the quarterback very long in order to have a ton
Mhm.
of success through the air.
Yeah, and again, appreciate you going there, because that is one of the issues right now in fall camp is they're going up against one of the top, 3 or 4 defensive lines in the SEC every day. And they're doing that with a makeshift offensive line because, and here you go with the fans, well, that's because Bill Bedenbaugh hasn't recruited the offensive line very good and they have no depth. No, they have great depth. Problem is they have, how many guys are out? Parker, 5?
Yeah.
5 of their top
Well,
8 guys are out. That is a problem. And those guys are all experienced guys that played on a Joe Moore Award winning offensive line. Some have been freshman All Americans. Like, what do you expect when you have to start throwing 23 and 24 freshmen in there and you're going, well, hope you can protect against Dominic Williams and David Stone and Jaden Jackson and Ethan Downs and Caden Woolard. And,
well,
oh, by the way, here comes Kip Lewis and Danny Stutzman.
and that right there, that is right about that is right where I was going to turn next in this conversation is, and maybe this sounds like sunshine pumping to some people, and that's fine. But like the more I've ruminated on it, Brandon, the more I realize
That's a good word.
this defensive line is going to be truly terrifying
Mm-hmm.
physically. Now, obviously, they have to play like it, but how on earth can you look at this defensive line in 2024 and not be leaps and bounds more confident in Oklahoma's front four than you were in 2023 or 2022? Because I mean, like, let's rewind to day one, 2022, week one. Oklahoma opened the season against UTEP. Your starters at defensive tackle were Jeffrey Johnson, and then you had Jordan Kelly and Jalen Redmond listed as co-starters. Last year in 2023, one of your starting defensive ends, opposite Ethan Downs, was Rondell Bothroyd. Rondell Bothroyd was a fine football player. He was
Mm-hmm.
not an elite one. I don't think he had a sack all season. And so now you fast forward to 2024, and what you're trotting out there, and we're just talking about the first team unit, includes a dude who's 6'4", 260 pounds, and is coming off back-to-back all-conference second team years in Ethan Downs. At the other defensive end is a guy who's 6'5", 260, and had 9.5 sacks last year. In the MAC, okay, whatever, have your feelings on that. But Caden Woolard, I think, is going to be a menace this fall. And I think he's going to be a lot more significant of a contributor and a lot more productive up front than most anybody realizes. First team all conference in the MAC last year. Then you move inside and you have a guy who's entering his 6th year of college football and his 4th as a starter in Dejon Terry. And you have a guy who was the most highly coveted defensive player, period, in the spring transfer portal cycle. And then you go to the 2 deep and you still see guys like R. Mason Thomas and PJ and David Stone and Jaden Jackson and Grayson Halton and Danny Okoye and Taylor Wine, Nigel Smith, so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's super scary. I mean, you talked about Dominic Williams. He was the most coveted. He's a back-to-back first team All Big 12 D tackle. He's a freshman All-American, first team freshman All-American. Like he was pretty freaking good at TCU. I mean, he was all right, right? Like he made some plays. He was only a very large reason of why they went to the national title in 2023, right? Like or 2022, excuse me. That played a big part of that run was his growth as a true freshman, mind you. He was so he and people don't know this, like he signs with TCU and he grows like 2 inches. So like they got a diamond in the rough that was viewed as too short and stubby, and all of a sudden sprouts up after he signs his letter of intent and gains like 40 pounds. Like nobody expected that out of him. And now this is what you get. I mean, call it luck. You can call it whatever. Good for TCU and now great for Oklahoma. He's a junior. He has a chance to come back the following year. And if that happens, my God, I feel sorry for everybody because you're having to deal with Oklahoma's recruiting at an elite level on the defensive line and Todd Bates and Chavis developing it at that point. That's scary. But you talk about it like Jaden Jackson, Grayson Halton, G baby is got a really good chance to be one of the better pass rushing D tackles in the league, right? In the conference. That's what he does. We are not even talking about PJ, who is just now starting to tap into what he can be. They look a guy that nobody talks about. They talk about Danny Okoye, but when I say nobody, I'm talking about media. Brent Venables singled out. He was literally talking about the offensive line and turned around and started talking about Taylor Wine in the middle of it. Like, that's how good they think that kid can be. Like, oh, and by the way, this guy, Taylor Wine's been really good this fall camp. Was talking to, I can say it because it was at a camp. One of the coaches was talking about, because I go, dude, Taylor Wine's put on some really good weight. They turned to me and they said, that kid right there is a film junkie. That kid right there is a workout junkie. That kid right there will be an all-conference guy before he leaves Oklahoma. And they were very clear of saying it as in he's going to be a 4 or 5 year guy because he's got to develop. But they said he's on a trajectory to be very, very, very good by the time he leaves Oklahoma. And he loves the university. They said he grew up wanting to play at Oklahoma. That's something not a lot of people know. His family is originally from Edmond, Oklahoma. I believe he's originally from Edmond, Oklahoma, and then moved to Tennessee. So that was what he wanted to do his whole life, Parker, was be an Oklahoma Sooner. And just so happened, Vasic decommits. And there's this film name sitting on Chavis's desk he called him a godsend because he was like, I'm just going to put this in, check it out. And he was like, holy crap, that dude can play. We're going to offer him. And then there it is.
And that dude didn't have an offer until his senior year of high school, if you can
And he
believe
got a
that.
lot after that.
Yes, he did.
Oklahoma wasn't the only like big school that went after him. There was a lot that started going after him at the end of it. So like he can play.
Mhm.
Just I will say, and it's kind of funny because I was looking at your class predictions. And the only reason I thought about this because Taylor Wine and Ethan Downs and Caden
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Willard.
yeah.
They're all white
I know where you're
defenses.
going with this. Yes. I have 3 white defensive ends currently projected to Oklahoma in the 2026 class.
They got it tight. White linebackers, white defensive ends, baby. It's a running joke. If you're on OU Insider, it's a running joke at this point. And it's funny because it's not really true, but kind of is. Is it is it true? Because obviously they go after everybody, but it's a it's a funny coincidence. How about that? That was the case. It was just funny. But yeah, just that made me think of it whenever we were talking about Taylor Wine and Ethan Downs and Caden Willard. I was like, yeah, 26 is going to be quite white. Defensive end. It's people. Parker, you're trying to you're like scared like we're like walking on eggshells talking about. It's funny
It
just
is.
because
It is. Listen, don't get me wrong, Brandon. I have a sense of humor. It's just the more time I spend on social media, the more I realize there are a lot of people out there that don't have a
they
sense of
don't,
humor.
and they can get over themselves for all I care. I'm to the age I'm just like, you know what? Like if you're that sensitive over a joke like that, like get over yourself. But it's funny because it's like the Iowa cornerback joke, like, oh, and they got another white cornerback that backed up the corner that got drafted. Like it's just funny because it's not something you see every day, and people make jokes about it, and it's only funny because if you can't make fun of yourself, then what can you make fun of or funny that it is what it is. All right. You want to know, I the longer I think about it, the more I'm starting to believe that Oklahoma will have 1,000-yard rusher and they will have a 750 plus yard rusher at running back.
Ooh. Okay, well, I can't really back you on that. I
You don't
feel
have to back me. That's my bold
well,
prediction.
no. I you can make that bold prediction. I really can't because last year my bold prediction before the season was that Gavin Sawchuk and Javante Barnes were both going to go for 1,000 apiece, which I sincerely believed at that time, especially after how they looked in the Cheez-It Bowl. And
That
then,
wasn't really that bold at that point.
yeah, no, and then neither of them, I shouldn't say neither of them. Obviously, Sawchuk did get healthy, but at the beginning of the year, really for the first half of the season, neither of those dudes were healthy. And
Mm-mm.
so week 6 rolls around and started like, well, okay, that bold prediction is on the fritz.
They're both good to go right now. This is as healthy as they've ever been coming out of fall camp for both of them, ever. And they've both been phenomenal. As a matter of fact, the scrimmage on Friday, the run game was what was like very, it stood out to a lot of people in how good Oklahoma ran the ball. And it's not because they did it against Oklahoma's defense, which obviously is a big deal because the defense is so stingy against the run. Um, but I think it's because people are starting to have that. Well, I'll just say what the source told me on Friday is you're starting to get that Cheez It vibe. End quote. Like you're starting to get that Cheez It vibe. Like it's going to be a 1-2 punch with Sawchuk and Barnes, and it's going to be nasty. Obviously, the offensive line's got to be healthy. I mean, when you're rolling out McClure as one of your starting a walk on, he's a good walk on, very good walk on
A
from
Bixby
Bigsby.
walk on.
Yeah, Evan McClure, good player.
A walk on nonetheless, though.
Yeah, a walk on nonetheless. That you, when you go into the SEC play and you start playing Tennessee, you're gonna need At the very least, Garen Hatchett playing center. If that's where you got to go to, you got to go to it. But he's played center. He's good at center. He's got a lot of experience. You're going to need somebody of that ilk if Bates isn't healthy, if Hickman's not healthy, and if Everett's not healthy. And right now, all the way down to Garen Hatchett, they're all dinged up a little bit.
Mm.
Now that said, they're all expected, maybe sans Everett, they're all expected to be available week one. Now, how much they all play, who all they really make of it. I'm assuming, Parker, they're all going to dress out and be fully available if need be, but they're probably going to have a very strict way that they're going to attack that with all those guys, even down to Jake Taylor, right? Like, um, you want them to feel like they'll be able to play if they're available. But if you don't need them, why would you risk it during Temple if you can have them available for Houston and Tulane and Tennessee? Because those three games are going to be much more difficult. One thing, and this is what somebody told me the other day, and it made perfect sense. And this person obviously works in the television area, and they said, well, from a optics point of view, Oklahoma is going to want some of those guys out there because you're going to want to lay it on Temple going into. You don't want any more questions about your program after you've heard them all fall camp. You want to start shutting some of those questions down, they said.
Sure. Yeah.
To me, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's a balance to strike there, as there always is in non-conference play, right? Strike some fear into the hearts of your SEC opponents when they turn on the tape and look at what you've done to those non-conference foes, but also don't tip too much of your hand because you want to be able to dig a little deeper into the bag than you've dug to that point in the season. So yeah, I think the biggest thing for Oklahoma though is just going to be get healthy. And you don't have to get completely healthy up front by August 30th. It's September 21st that is the real deadline, if you will. Like that's the real target. That's got to be the target day for guys like Jalil Farouk and Andrell Anthony too. If you can get by Temple and Houston and Tulane without using those two dudes, but
You
you're gonna
think?
need them. You're gonna need all hands on deck come September 21st when
You don't
Tennessee
think
comes to town.
Tulane? You don't think Tulane is going to be a problem at all?
Not
I kind of worry about Tulane a little bit. A little bit.
not to the point where you can't afford to have some guys either limited or just on the shelf
Mm-hmm.
completely. Like Oklahoma's talented enough at wide receiver that if you're rolling out guys like Brennan Thompson and Jacquez Petaway and JJ Hester against Tulane's defensive backs, those are still guys that are going to win those matchups more often than not,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think I think Willie Fritz built that program up to be really good. And for some odd reason in my mind, it just feels like they're going to be a problem. Maybe it's just from what I witnessed when they played, and maybe it's a mule shoe thing, right? He struggled against them in the Cotton Bowl when he was at USC. He struggled against them at home, right? In 2021. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. But they're going to have to they got to find something offensive line, wide receiver, as far as health. And Nick Anderson has been held out again a lot of fall camp, but I think it's because you don't really need to see what he can do. You know what he's going to do. It still sucks because it feels like he's always dinged up somehow, some way. Particularly after you lost Jaden Gibson.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that was kind of the stigma that followed Nick Anderson for quite a while. And to a certain extent, was it unfairly rooted in his brother's reputation as an injury prone guy? Yeah, Yeah, there were those going around saying, "Oh, those Andersons, they can't stay right." But then he stayed healthy for an entire season last year and was obviously, I think, pound for pound, Oklahoma's best receiver. Um, Now he is the type of guy that, again, if you have to hold him out for a week or two to start the season, I think that's fine. I think you'll get past a team like Temple without having to deploy Nick
Yeah.
Anderson. But that is, I think he and Deion Burks are the two dudes that you have got to have available, no questions asked, when you get to SEC play, because if you want to be able to beat the best, you got to have your difference makers and you got to have them making plays.
Yeah. I agree. I think Jalil Farouk's going to be he's been really good as of late, like really, really good. The first scrimmage, he had a few drops, I'm told, but after that, he has been just nails. I think it was kind of a wake up to him, and
Yeah.
he started playing. Somebody told me he's just playing like the old Lil. Everybody calls him Lil.
Well,
So like,
and I told you I was watching that Oklahoma State rerun earlier today, and one of the things I was thinking as I'm watching this game unfold is, boy, Jalil Farouk's really good.
yeah, he
Like,
was good that game. Yeah,
yeah, he
he
had
had
an
a big
awesome game.
drop. He had a big drop in that game, but yeah, outside of that, I think that's the thing with him is that like he makes some phenomenal plays, but then he'll have that glaring drop or that glaring fumble or that glaring
Sure.
whatever that just resonates in OU fans' minds and even the media's minds forever. I think you think back to the Alamo Bowl, there was multiple plays. So he's just got to be more consistent. Um, and then finally on the defense, that secondary, man, that secondary. I'm telling you what, Jacoby Johnson's going to be a problem. Eli Bowen is going to play a lot. A lot. He's got a chance to be downright special. So we'll see. We've got all those notes on OU Insider VIP. And there's so much more. Like we were so general with you guys on this, and that's not because we don't want to tell you guys more, but it's basically because on OU Insider, it's our members got it. So if you want to go and be a VIP member right now, you can wait till Monday. You can go to all the socials, check out the promo code. It's going to be 60% off 19th through the 23rd. 19th through the 23rd, 60% off. So a little over $40 will get you OU Insider for a year. We had to ask Rivals to do this. They're actually going to do it company wide because we got them to do it, but we tried to get 75% off for you. They didn't want to do that again, but they said they would do 60 for another 5 days. So we're gonna roll with that. We're gonna thank them, and we want to thank you, OU fans. We had over 350 plus signups during the 75% off. We can't thank you guys enough. We're so blessed, so very blessed to be able to do this for you guys. Parker and I thank you all. You OU fans, you guys are amazing. But again, if you want to try OU Insider VIP, 60% off starting August 19th through the 23rd. Make sure you go to our socials, or you can go click down below, come back to this video. We will probably have a promo code on this one or some other. We'll have it in the comments or in the description for you to be able to go and use it. And make sure you sign up. We can't wait to see you guys on OU Insider. If you're a college student, .edu and you have a .edu, I don't care if you go to Timbuktu University, email us at ouinsider@rivals.com. We will send you a promo code. You can go sign up. $11.95 will get you the whole year.
And you
One
know what?
payment
If you do go to Timbuktu University, we'll just give you a subscription for free. We'll comp you.
for real. If that's a real deal, somebody's going to come up and make a EDU for that. Thanks, Parker. But yeah, look, .edu, email us ouinsider@rivals.com. We will send you back a promo code. All you have to do is go sign up for free. Go put the promo code in at the description where they ask for the promo code, and you will get OU Insider for $11.95 That's it. One time, whole year. Boom. You get us for a year. Again, 60% off will be starting August 19th through the 23rd. That will have a promo code that we will put out to the world on Monday. And you can go and put that into the promo code section. In a little over $40, you'll get us for a whole year. One-time payment, $40, whole year, $40+ whole year. Anyways, all right. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Subscribe to whatever podcast you're listening to us on, platform you're listening to us on. Again, we can't thank you guys enough. We're blessed to be able to do this. Thank you guys for watching us. We will see you all later on this week. For Parker Thune, my name is Brandon Drum. You guys have a blessed night.